Hey everyone, so today our video is going to be over pairs of angles, and my last video that I did dealt with just constructing and measuring angles, but here we're going to get more into applications and how we use the rules of angles to help solve problems. So let's start with some of the most fundamental pairs of angles. So an adjacent angle is just adjacent angles are just two angles that are next to each other pretty much. They're on the same, they share a common vertex and a side, but no interior points is the technical definition. And looking at the picture, it'll just make more sense. So angle 1 and 2 are next to each other. We make another one here, angle 3. So 1 and 2 are adjacent angles, and 2 and 3 are adjacent angles, but 1 and 3 are not, because they're not next to each other. Does that make sense? Okay. So now we got a linear pair as well. And a linear pair deals with an opposite ray, and if you remember from one of the first lessons, an opposite ray is a ray that shares the same endpoint and then goes off in opposite directions. And then here, if an angle shoots out of there, 3 and 4, right there, would be a linear pair. They'd also be adjacent angles. Linear pairs are always adjacent angles, but they're a special type of adjacent angle that share the same opposite ray. So let's learn a little bit more about some other type of angles. So I'll scroll up in case you're not done. So complementary angles are when two angles, such as angle A and angle B, add up. So angle A plus angle B will equal 90 degrees. So two angles will come together, and when they're formed together and you add them together, it'll be a right triangle, or 90 degrees. Supplementary angles are angles where if you add them together, such as angle C and angle D, you're going to get 180 degrees. So obviously one will, like 90 plus 90, two right triangles, or two right angles are supplementary, or one will have to be acute and one will have to be obtuse. With complementary angles, both are going to have to be acute. So let's just do a quick visual representation. So if we had 37 degrees on angle B and 53 degrees on angle A and 127 degrees on angle C. So looking at this, we could see that 37 plus 53, when you add it together, is going to get 90. So that's going to look like this, and then 1 will shoot off here, where 1 was 53 and 1 was 37, and it's going to form a right triangle. So these, angle A and angle B, are complementary. And then also, if you look, 53 plus 127 is going to give you 180. So 180 is a straight line, and then one would be 127, and the other would be 53. And so angle A and angle C are supplementary. And let's look at how we can use these definitions to solving some problems. So if you are given an angle, let's say you're given one of 27 degrees. So you know that M is going to be 27 degrees. And they ask for the complement of m. So complement is complementary, which means they add up to 90. So we know that the goal we want is 90. And then how do we know the complement? It's going to be another angle that we don't know right now. So we have x. And what we're adding to it is 27. And we add that together, it's going to give you 90. So we just subtract 27 from both sides. And we're going to get x is going to equal 63. So the complement of 27 is 63 degrees. Let's look at another one. Let's look at the supplement of angle N. And angle N is going to be 2y plus 20 degrees. So supplement, what's it going to add to? It's going to add to 180. So the supplement of it is going to add to 180. So that's our goal. The supplement is going to be another angle. It's going to be this angle right here, and we don't know that, so we're going to call it x. And then how do we get to 180? We have to add them together. And in this case, so yes, and then this is going to be 2y plus 20 degrees. So, and we're going to work this through and then I'll explain. So, if you look here, we're solving, we're going to have two variables, but we're just solving for x. We don't care about y right now. So what we're going to have to do is to get rid of this is a plus, so why don't we just subtract the whole thing to the other side. So we have x equals by itself. Then 180 and 2y can't be combined because they're not like terms, but 180 plus 20, oh, and we're subtracting this whole thing. So let's go ahead and do 180 minus 2y plus 20. And then let's go ahead and distribute that negative there. So minus 2y minus 20. Then we can combine our like terms, which is 180 and 20. So we get 160 minus 2y is the supplement. So that's our answer. Now I'm going to scroll back up and show you the other way you can do it. So here I just knew that our goal was 90, so I set an equation doing that. The other way you can find the complement is just doing 90 minus x, or 90 minus the angle that you know. So we could have done 90 minus 63 degrees, and that was going to give you, oh, sorry. Come on. So instead of 63, I should have wrote 27. So 90 minus 27, because that was the angle that we know, and that would have given us 63 degrees. And then this one here, we could have done 180, because its supplement is 180, minus, and then we knew the angle was 2y plus 20, and we'd have gotten the same exact thing if you notice. But those are just two ways that you can solve these complements and supplements. So let's go ahead and just look at one application since this video is starting to run long. So fiber optic cables are cables that you can shoot or shove through walls, and it sends a video feed back, and so they feed them into walls and run them through there. They're just small skinny cables if you haven't seen them. They're pretty cool. And how they work is in the middle of the fiber optic cable there's, I guess you could call it a tunnel, where light will shoot back from the lens, which would be down here. And then it's going to reflect off of all the sides of the walls. So there's the light, and then another, it's going to bounce and reflect here. And it's going to bounce and reflect back here, and then it's going to keep going back towards us, the viewer. So let's label these angles and see like what degrees this light is bouncing off the walls. So we have 3, 1, 2, and 4. So there's our basic angles. And then in the problem, they're going to give you some other information. And so they're going to tell you that these two angles are congruent. Note the arc marks. Those mean that they're congruent. They're also going to tell you that this is 90 degrees. So the first step in doing word problems is let's just understand the problem and see what we want for an answer, and then we also have to list the important information. So in the problem, they're going to be asking for what is the measure of angle, what are the measure of all the angles. So 1, and then measure of angle 2, measure of angle 3, and measure of angle 4. They want to know all those. But in the problem, they're also going to give you one angle, because it's going to be hard to just go off of nothing. So in the problem, they're going to tell you that the measure of angle 1 is equal to 38. So, using that information, what else do we know before we can just start solving? Well, we know that the measure of angle 1 and 2 are going to be equal, because they have arc marks. So we know the measure of angle 1 congruent to the measure of angle 2. And that's how we say congruent. What else do we know? Well, look at this. This is a complementary angle. This is a 90 degrees. And so measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 3 is going to equal 90. The same will go on the other side, because this is a straight line even though I poorly drew it. So if one side's 90, the other side has to be 90. And so the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 4 is going to be 90 as well. So with this information, this is what we know. We know this. And we knew that before we even started solving anything. That was all in the problem that you would have read. So let's start making our plan and start solving. So obviously we can just go ahead, and we know that measure 1 is angle 38. So if measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 2 are the same, then the measure of angle 2 has to be 38 as well. So now we know that the measure of angle 1 equals 38, and the measure of angle 2 equals 38. So with that, if we look here at what we know about these complements, we can plug in. So let's look at the first one. So 38 degrees, which was the measure of angle 1, plus the measure of angle 3, oh, come on, is going to be equal to 90. Because they're complements. 1 and 3 are complements. So we'll subtract 38 from both sides. And we're going to get the measure of angle 3 is going to equal, it's going to say 52. Yep, 52 degrees. And so, without even, you can save yourself some work. If 1 and 2 were the same, then that means that the complements are going to be the same as well. So the complement of 1 was 52, which means the complement of 2 has to be 52. So the measure of angle 4 is going to be 52 degrees as well. So that means we can list out measure of angle 1 equals 38, measure of angle 2 equals 38, measure of angle 3 equals 52, measure of angle 4 equals 52. And make sure you label the degrees, I forgot. So that sums up pairs of angles. We're going to start using these to solve a lot of problems. And if you get good with it now, the rest of geometry should be fairly easy. So thanks for watching. Come stop by the website, maybe get some tutoring. Thanks for watching.